Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and in this show, we specially sit and focus on the need to increase awareness about who we are and also to share our grief and to reiterate the commitment that we are going to be working together to make this world a better place. It has been a very shocking news for all of us to learn about what happened in the Gurudwara at Wisconsin. People lost their lives. Innocent people losing their lives is always something that causes us to question what kind of society we have built in and why people perceive others in a way that they are inclined to make them target, and why do we have so many guns available in the hands of people who shouldn't have access to any weapon. My guest today is Dr. Harsimran Singh ji. He is not only a successful entrepreneur, but he is someone who is given to thinking how to improve life in general and how the rich experience of India in terms of what it has offered in the form of Sikhism as well as other ways of thinking are useful for us to lead a life which is more meaningful, beautiful, and full of richness. So I welcome you to our studio.
Thank you.
And it is always difficult to face these kind of news when it comes our way, and we always we all are connected, and yet someone who is directly related or known to us when some tragedy occurs, it is such a loss that we find it difficult to bear. So based on all that you have learned through your reading of the spiritual books, how a Sikh, if I would say, would respond internally in coming to terms with this kind of event?
Well, I take it in a spirit like if anything goes wrong anywhere, whether it's in my home or outside the world or anywhere, as to what is it that I could have done to make it better or would have really done something to improve on it. So I feel that there's certain responsibilities that we as Sikhs should have taken it, should do it, and even others should do it, to make themselves aware of who we are. There's no fear of light, people are afraid of darkness. So wherever there is a darkness, people, the one who came to kill, he didn't know whom he's dealing with. Sikhs, if you would have really known who Sikhs are, that they pray for the entire humanity at the end of their ardas every day. And not only that, the one who killed others, killed Sikhs and others, that they are even going to pray for him too. If you would have known that what a sublime community is, what they have contributed towards this nation and to the world, it would have been a different thing. So bringing awareness, like you said yourself, is very, very important. And I think we lack in that respect.
And indeed, there have been active focus. People are working collectively in bringing about this awareness. But as much as you do, probably there is much more that needs to be done. From the point of view of increasing awareness, you have also been active as an author also. You've written certain books wherein you talked about interfaith, like the one I see here, it's the spiritual power, a gift of Christianity, Sikhism. And talking about spiritual power, when there is a sense of helplessness because of these kind of events or a kind of anger also, then how the spiritual understanding of the whole, call it the cosmic system, helps us in finding a harmonious way to deal with it?
That's what we learned from Shri Guru Granth Sahib as to whenever we have, first of all, we should not have the anger. Anger is our enemy, is one of the sins that we shouldn't be having it. And we learned so many things from to build up a spiritual strength from Sri Guru Granth Sahib. So that's what the basis is. That's what we have built up. And that's where we learn from forgiveness as well too, as to whatever has happened to us and how we learn from it. So Sri Guru Granth Sahib is a divine wisdom, it's an ocean of knowledge. And we should be learning from it and take it from there.
My uncle, Singh uncle, I have always addressed him as, from my childhood, my father's friend. He's so loving as a child. I remember him. And once I saw him in a hotel. We were in some marriage related function. I was a child, and I saw him with all his hair for the first time, and I just couldn't recognize. And then he showed me how he ties the turban, and then I went to Gurudwara with him. As a child, I remember those days. So it changes your perspective about the community. Talking about various Gurudwaras that we have in New York, do you think they are also disseminating, increasing awareness? They are center of learning also, not only for Sikhs, but they are offering something to other community members as well.
It's very unfortunate to admit it that majority of the Gurdwaras are too well self-contained within their own community. They are not bringing awareness to the outside world as to who we are. They should be inviting other people. If there is a langar, it's mostly confined to the people who are well-to-do, well off, not to the other people. The restriction is sort of, openness is not there. That part is, I should admit, is lacking in majority of the Gurdwaras.
Actually, I don't want to make it as a debate, but I think essentially, whether it is a church or a Gurudwara or a mandir or a mosque, it is essentially for the congregation of the group of people who are following that faith. So I think certain type of closeness is inbuilt. Like if you are a Sikh, then you'll go for ardas in the manner that other Sikhs are going. So there'll be, I mean, you're following where I'm coming from.
I understand, but see, Harmandir Sahib had 4 doors open to all community, all different people, all different sects coming over. Sikhism believes in the faith that everyone from every religion is most welcome to come on over there and learn from it. Gurudwara means a Guru's house. And it's for us, it's a school of learning. Of course, it's a place to worship as well too, but school of learning is as much important or even as is the worshipping there. So it's the way you take it.
So going back to the present reference, which brings us to this discussion, the unfortunate incident that has taken place at Gurudwara in Wisconsin, and 6 people lost their lives. There is a lot of discussion about various sides to it. Some are related to the political will, related to gun control also, which Mayor Bloomberg also mentioned, and he kind of criticized both presidential candidates for not talking about it along with the laws to save guns from reaching to these kind of people. And he has some statistics also mentioning about the number of people that are killed because of the accessibility of guns to these people who use them illegally. With your permission, let's take a look at the recent visit of Mayor Michael Bloomberg along with Police Commissioner Kelly and District Attorney Richard Brown, who were here at our Gurudwara located in Richmond Hill, and they also expressed their sense of togetherness and also a sense of grief as well as commitment that the no tolerance policy for these kind of things is the policy of New York. Let's take a look.
Well, good afternoon. Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, Queens District Attorney Richard Brown, and Chuck Mira, the Chief of Staff, to Council Speaker Christine Quinn. Joe Adabo, state senator, and James Sanders, the city councilman, and I have just expressed our condolences and the condolences of all New Yorkers to our city's Sikh community. That includes the president of the Sikh Cultural Center, Gurdev Singh Kag, and the newly installed chair of this Sikh Cultural Center, Mohan Singh Katra. Mohan lost an uncle in the Wisconsin massacre. Yesterday, in the space of a few hours, he both assumed that office and also had suffered this terrible tragedy in his family, and our condolences go out to him. But I think it's fair to say New Yorkers of every faith join the Sikh community in praying for the recovery of those gravely wounded in that terrible attack. In the wake of the shootings yesterday, representatives of our Community Affairs Unit, headed by Nazli Pavesi, reached out to the Sikh community to offer assistance and support, and as you can well imagine, the Sikh community is in shock and in mourning. New York, and particularly Southeast Queens, is the center of Sikh life in the United States. And community leaders say there are roughly 15,000 Sikhs who live in Richmond Hill and nearby neighborhoods. This is a very close-knit and hard-working community, one whose faith urges them to practice self-discipline and good deeds towards others. In fact, the vice chair of the 102nd Precinct Council is Mr. Harbans Dillon, who is also a past chair of the Cultural Society. And this is also a very resilient community. As you know, about 9 years ago, I was here when a fire completely destroyed the Sikh temple, and I remember coming here to survey the damage. The community rebuilt after that disaster, and I think it's fair to say the community's faith will sustain them now as well. In addition to bringing condolences from everyone and offering our prayers, I want to underscore a message to the Sikh community and to all New Yorkers. And it's simply this: no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter what religion you profess, you have a right to be safe in your homes, in your places of worship, and on the streets of New York City. We have no tolerance for intolerance or for lawless violence. They go against everything that New York, the safest big city in the nation, is all about. And this remains a city where people of every nationality live in harmony and where people of every faith worship in freedom. And that's essential to who we are as New Yorkers. It is our heritage and it is in our hearts. In fact, more than 100 years before the Declaration of Independence, the people of Queens took a stand for religious freedom. Residents of the town of Flushing sent a letter to then Governor Peter Stuyvesant reminding him that, quote, "The law of love, peace, and liberty" covered people of every faith who wanted to live in the then, as it was called, the colony of New Amsterdam. That was the spirit of the people of New Amsterdam back in 1657. It is the spirit and the law of New York City today, and that's the great strength of our city, and we're not about to lose sight of that. There's something else that we shouldn't lose sight of either. Just 2 weeks after the tragedy in Aurora, we've seen another mass shooting, one in which it appears that there was some warning signs about the shooter. And still, the two presidential candidates have not given the American public a plan to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. Every day, 34 Americans are murdered with guns. The fact that criminals, terrorists, and other mentally ill all have easy access to guns is a national crisis. We have lost over 400,000 Americans to illegal guns, which is more since 1968. That is more than the number of Americans that were killed in World War II. And the two presidential candidates cannot continue avoiding an issue that is one of the most serious threats we face as a nation and for our security. They have, thankfully, been no threats made against the Sikh community here, nor do I expect any. After all, this is New York. But we have to take preparatory and precautionary steps, some visible and some not, and you can rest assured that we will do so to deter any such actions. Ray?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to express my condolences to the family of Mohan Singh Katra and to the entire Sikh community for the horrific events that happened yesterday in Wisconsin. As the mayor said, I want to emphasize that we have no information that indicates a threat to Sikh temples here in New York City, temples here in New York. We used our critical response vehicles, who are normally assigned to counterterrorism duties. We did that to certainly ease concerns in the Sikh community. We also contacted the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to see if there was any information that indicated any threat to Sikhs here in New York. Now, just as this tragedy has affected the Sikh family, Brian Murphy, the lieutenant who was shot yesterday, shot 9 times and is in critical condition, is the brother of Terry Murphy, who is a detective who just retired from the intelligence division of the New York City Police Department just a month ago. But I can assure you that we're going to continue to monitor this issue. We're going to keep our presence at these locations in place, and we'll make that determination on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
District Attorney Brown, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Only to add my voice to that which has already been said. Our deep sympathy goes out to the victim's family, and the Sikh community here in Queens. We are, as you know, the most diverse county in the nation, and the Sikh community is a very important part of our life here in Queens County. And secondly, of course, to underscore that, because the mayor has indicated, these acts of violence with guns have got to stop. And I commend the mayor and the police commissioner for all the work that they're doing nationwide to help to make it stop. Beyond that, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to express my sympathy.
So that was Mayor Michael Bloomberg, along with Police Commissioner Kerry and District Attorney Mr. Brown. They showed their solidarity with the Sikh community, and indeed at this moment there is no potential threat of any kind in New York, but we need to be vigilant, and we all are interconnected wherever we are. As before this press conference, you met Dr. Harsimran Singh ji, and I mentioned that he has written this wonderful book, The Spiritual Work. He has also been instrumental in bringing out this wonderful offering, The Power of Prayer and 10 World Religions. Now, before we talk about this book, tell me about your experiences as Sikh in America. You came in early 70s probably, and yes. I read somewhere that you came with $8 in your pocket and then you made millions. This journey is very, very inspiring. Not talking about the financial side of it, but as an individual, when you start connecting to a new place, the process of assimilation has its own challenges. So what was it like for you when you started off as an immigrant here?
I think my experiences with this country have been really wonderful. If I make a statement that I never ever felt even discriminated, I think I'm not overstating it. It's a matter of your own presentation. How do you present yourself to the world? How you look yourself, this is how the world looks at you. If you have a positive attitude, make friends, let people know who you are. Awareness of the surroundings is very important. Then you flourish with the community. And I think, if I say it, that all of my experiences in this country have been wonderful. That's why I wrote so many different books, 13 books, trying to contribute to this society, what I learned from it, and what others can learn from this society.
Talking about learning from the power of prayers and applying them to your day-to-day life as a Sikh, what is it that comes to your mind which has been your constant companion in your march towards progress in America?
Well, as you know that in Sikhism, Chaddi Kala, the positive attitude is the most important thing, and that's what I kept it all along.
What is the word you use? Chaddi Kala?
Chaddi Kala.
Chaddi Kala.
Chaddi Kala means always be in high spirits. So if there are any problems ever come in life, take them as challenges. Any obstacles come in life, welcome them. Don't get discouraged from them. Even when you walk on the floor, If there wasn't any roughness in this, you would be slipping, you wouldn't be able to walk. The birds cannot fly if there was no resistance of air. So problems do come. Failures do come. Well, welcome them in life, because don't get discouraged. Don't hang them on the wall and get discouraged. Learn from them and move on to the life. Keep your commitments, keep your goals in light all the time within your heart, as that's a very important part of this whole life. That if you have a burning desire to do something, you should be doing it. Don't get discouraged by the surroundings. Keep your surroundings very positive in life. Once you have it, you will find that progress is going to come and kiss you all along.
What you said are such profound words, and they definitely are empowering in the face of any adversity in one's life. And many times when we come across something which is apparently negative or have some kind of way to pull us down, then it is difficult to lift up the spirit, and especially when you have real physical, material challenges also in front of you, then what you said sometimes may not gel with the mental state of the person who is facing that. You must have been in certain situations where you were sharing this insight with people who needed it. You are also a motivational speaker. So tell me, from that point of view, someone who is feeling really low, how to lift their spirit with the spiritual perspective that you talked about.
Have a faith in yourself. That's the most important thing, that you can do it. If you are not convincing yourself, then you just cannot do it. And move towards the goal. And remind yourself, like I mentioned before, of that goal, and keep that burning desire of success in your mind all the time. Problems will come, but don't let them face you or let you go down. If I ever have a problem, and I'm telling you the truth of my own life, if I have a problem today, and the next day I wake up with the same problem again, I think I need to visit a psychiatrist. That's what I feel, that there's something wrong with me. Determination. That's where when you're talking about the power of prayer. If I have a problem in life, which anybody can have it, I'll go and pray before God and, God, please help me out. Let this problem not bother me again. Please help me. So you keep on reminding yourself the whole day about it. I went in the morning to pray before God that, God, please don't let this disturb me. Why is it disturbing me? So those kind of reminders, as self-strength and inner strength, helps. Inner strength is the key to the whole thing. It's not the outside world which affects you. It's your own self that you affect your own self. That if you build up enough inner strength, outside world would not matter too much to you. The problem here it is that most of us rely upon outside world to please us or displease us. Neither of the two things should happen. You should have self-control of your own self, own personality.
You know what you said, and again I'm just acting like a devil's advocate, as they say, but and you have written somewhere also that happiness is inner game. Happiness is
right.
Something like inner game. So these things are probably good when you don't have any tangible threat outside. For example, we started off talking about Wisconsin Gurudwara attack, and there is a need to increase awareness. So there are different perceptions with which we react to any situation. So as I initially mentioned, some people really feel angry, some people want to do something concrete collectively which would prevent something like this from happening, and in spite of prayer, even at places of worship, such things do happen, and that brings a sense of depression sometimes in some people's mind. Share with us what is it that
I will, because I was listening to the mayor as well too. Here is the important things what most of the politicians would not talk about. Everything starts with a thought. Thoughts become words, and the words become actions. And actions are either can hurt you, or kill you, or really help you. None of them they're talking about it. That what was the motive behind this guys doing it? They talk about gun control. Of course, I'm also against it because all these guns have done more damage. I've never heard of the cases whereby the gun was used for somebody's defense. It was used for killing someone, yes, of course that. But somebody who was having the gun and killing others, okay, what was his motive behind it? How that thought process, the very thought that came to his mind, come and go and kill Sikhs over there in Gurdwara, came to his mind. What should we be doing about that? We are a country of immigrants of different culture, different religions. Why should there not be education in the schools, educating people about different religions, so that they know about it? But unfortunately, nobody wants to talk about it.
Actually, we have very little time, but I just wanted to share with you. I have been thinking, even in mainstream news media, we are listening that they thought these are Muslims. But it is not okay to go and have the kind of hatred which manifests in this fashion for anybody.
Against anyone.
Against anyone.
And why should it happen against even the Muslims?
That is
If
correct.
some group of the people from Taliban did it to 9/11 attack, why should others face the punishment for that?
Right.
It could be Muslims, Sikhs, or Hindus, or anybody there.
Correct.
That's not fair. But again, that's the purpose I brought this thought, that the thought process must be changing. People should be made aware who everyone is. So there should be something done about that seriously in this country. The education system needs to be overhauled in this country, but there's a need to talk about that.
Actually, it's again a long subject, and we are working in a system where in talking about God in school system is probably not welcome.
That is unfortunate. And also at the same time, if your homework is more than an hour, even the parents tend to sue the schools. The system has to change. Not that we are talking about worshipping others' gods, we're talking about understanding others' religions, who they are, what they stand for, what the ethics are, what are the ethics of different religions and the principles are, what they are laid on. Of course, if there'll be understanding, there'll be less of the problems like that.
So this has been a kind of small, humble step towards increasing our awareness, towards learning, and learning from Dr. Harsimran Singh and his positive outlook, approach, and the way he has applied these spiritual principles in his life is definitely inspiring. And we look forward to a world wherein we understand each other a little bit better than what we have done so far, and that goes across the board for one and all. Ultimately, we all are human beings, that is
Yes,
the bottom line, and love is the key to solve all the problems, as we hear from our gurus and our scriptures in various ways. Looking forward to a world wherein we don't have to witness these kind of senseless, hatred-filled killings as took place, and our not only heart goes out for them, our prayers are with them. And thank you very much once again for being with us.
My pleasure.
This is Ashok Vyas, thanking all of you for joining us.